Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here, and today we are going to work on inspiration pockets, and that's the name I came up with for this project. And it's going to be a two-parter. You'll see part one today, and I'm not sure when you'll see part two, but within the next few days hopefully, or at least by the end of the week. So this is a hanger organizer thingy that Val gave me when she came to visit. And you know, I was sitting there, I had shown you this in my past video, and then I was sitting there telling you things I could do with it. And she had given me this because she had seen one in my room, and I have the other one here. I'm just going to grab it to show you. It's shaped like a corset kind of thing. But I will come back to that one in a second. But yeah, so I was telling you all the different things that I thought I could possibly do with it. And then I came with the idea that this would be great for slow stitch, to hold all my scrappy bits that I could take it with me. Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows that are narrower. And at the bottom, oh, I don't want you to see all the bottom here. At the bottom is two larger pockets, whereas here it's 3 pockets, but here it's 2 larger ones. And they have a zipper closure, so you can open this up and stuff things in the pockets and then close it with the zipper, knowing that things aren't going to fall out. So I kind of thought my plan was to put scrappy bits in here, but put everything that I needed to work on slow stitching. So I made a list, and I'll go over it more seriously with you after. But the tools, like, you know, your threads, your needles, your that kind of stuff. And then I would like to have sort of fabric that I would call kind of a common base fabric, and I will again get back into that. And then some lace, some fibers, and any scrappy bits that I have left over from projects. And I'm talking little bits. So I went and I had a plastic tray, and through the week I've just been adding things to it as I find them. And this bucket, and I'm going to show it to you, oh, if I don't tip it over, is overflowing. So I thought I would show you how I want to put it together. Now I did do a quick test on the other side, and I did one of the colors. Just to see how it would fit. And I had originally thought 1 color per strip like this, but I realized no, I need to have 2 sets per color because I have a lot of stuff. And then I thought like at the bottom, because they're larger, I would use them for tools and little bits that are kind of common to everything. And that again I will explain as we go along. So then that meant I have 6 rows on each side, so that's kind of 2 per color. So I get 3 colors on the one side, and then I get 3 colors on the other side. So this is the other side, and I've just done the purple so far to show you. And I have like some fibers in here. I have what I'm calling base fabric, but I did tuck other things in here because I had a lot of purple stuff. Been working lots of purple lately. And some stringy bits, which you're going to see as we go along, and other little bits and pieces of lace and trims. And then I added some trims that weren't really scraps. They were just small amounts, so that I have sort of a common theme when I'm working and don't run out of, you know, stuff. But when I do run out of it, then I will put another one in here, but not until I use this one. And then I thought I would have one for threads, maybe some buttons that match. I just didn't have any in this one. And then, you know, I have these little pieces of applique that I thought would be nice in here. And so that's kind of where it's going right now. And then I put on the bottom here, I put a measuring tape just in case I needed one, a pair of scissors, and glue. But I'm going to put this on the other side now. Is that what I want to do? No, I'm going to leave it on this side. And then I'm going to be adding more of those types of things into these pockets as we go along. Because some things are going to be common that I would use for everything. and some things are more, you know, color directed or to be color organized. And what I have here is just a start of the things that I'm going to be adding into it. And I will explain to you what they are as we get to them. And I just think this will be a fun way to use it up, see what you have. And like now in this case, the purple is pretty full. I have this one little piece here that's kind of purpley that I'm going to stick in here. It's pretty full, so I know that, you know, I can't really add more purple things to this without going into another set of pockets. So I just thought, you know, this is a good indication that this is the color that you should be working on, or whatever color. And then as I empty it, I will keep a bucket like this close by that I can go and refill. And the fun part about that is that, you know, each time you're going to get different things. And just in putting this together like this, I had so many ideas of what I wanted to do with these scraps. It was just amazing how quickly this came together. So because I'm allowing 2 for each color, that really only gives me 6 spots, and then 2 bigger ones in the bottom here. But one color in particular I thought I would work with on this side. I'm going to also include these two spots with that color, and that color is going to be blues and greens with yeah, it's going to be blues and greens, but because there's so many different shades of green and blue, like there's teal and there's you know, forest greens and sage greens, I just thought it might need a little bit more room. And plus, I know a lot of times I would want to be able to pull some greens to add to the other colors. You know, if I'm creating floral type things where I want to use a little bit of greens, or you know, maybe I want to use an array of colors like greens and blues and purples together, make kind of a peacock kind of coloring. So I thought, you know, having a little bit more space for those colors, then I can add more stuff in those colors into the pockets. So I kind of divided it up that there's going to be a kind of a cream beige neutral set. So that would be anything like, you know, beige and ivory and pieces of plain lace like this. And then the next one would be oranges, yellows, and browns. I thought that they could kind of flow together because they to me seem a little bit more where I would mix back and forth, you know, using some beiges with browns and yellows with beige and vice versa. So I thought those two should kind of flow together. And then red, white, and black. And then I thought the pinks and the purples. So I've already got the purple done. I'm going to start the pinks. But, you know, again, it's whatever you want to put together in yours. Now, I recommend a zipper pocket because I want to be able to take this with me, and I want to be able to overflow it just like I did here. These are pretty full. You know, I can still get a little bit more in here, but they're pretty full. And I want to be able to take this with me. So this is a huge amount of stuff crammed into one little container that can give me hours and hours of fun and inspiration. Because, you know, just to work in this color alone, I could see half a day's worth of work just here playing with these little bits and pieces. And so then when you start adding other colors to it, again, you can mix the colors and work with them. This would be a fun thing to take if you're going to a retreat, to maybe you're going to visit friends and family and you want to take a little something to work on. This doesn't take up a lot of room in a suitcase. Well, at least not yet. So I thought this was perfect because of the zipper closures, and you can have all your tools, everything with you at one time. This one, not so much. Now this one has same 3 pockets on the side, but there's no zipper. So this one does not seem to me like one I would want to take with me. However, I will hang this up on the wall, and to keep my scraps from driving me absolutely crazy, I think I will put my scraps in here just to give me a visual of stuff that I have, and, you know, to get rid of those little bits, those little pieces of stuff that you Like for example, I just did a video where I was using this gold mesh, and I thought, you know, this is, yeah, it's garbage to somebody, but to me, it's just a little pop of color that I might want to add onto a slow stitch snippet or cluster or something. So it's a little bit of glitz and gold that I can add into my project. So these things, instead of them sitting in a dish on my desk or a tray on my desk, I can come along and pop them into here, color coordinated. I don't have to allow for 3 of the same color. I can just put into one until it's full, because I may not be working in purple every week, but you know, I may be working in pink for 3 weeks and I might fill 3 of these, but then that also means that however amount of pink is in here, I better get caught up and get that done so I can move this over to it. So I thought this would be a great sorting method instead of having this. and you know, then it allows me to quickly refill when I see that I'm low on something. And even though I'm calling it scraps, so that's what I'm going to use this for. Sorry, I got off track here, but so that's what I'm going to use this one for. So it's not a waste. I did think about putting flaps on all of these, but these overlap. So it, you know, to sew a flap here means I'd be shortening this pocket in order to accommodate this pocket with a flap. So I thought, you know what, don't change it, just figure out a different way to use it. And so that's how I'm going to use that. And it may happen today that it gets started, and then I'll just pin this back up on my wall. This has, I think it's 10 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10 rows. So 10 times 3, that's 30 pockets to use for overflow until I can get it into my little inspiration pockets. So I'm going to put that aside. We may use that today because I got a lot of stuff here. And then I thought I would get started. So I'm going to start with the green and the blue on this side, just to give me an idea. So each one of these is going to have some threads. That's a for sure. So because I'm allowing these 2 at the bottom, I'm going to take the green threads. Somebody gave me this. It was in my stash of stuff at our retreat, so I don't know where it came from, and so I'm going to open this up, put my green threads in here, because that's kind of my accessories. That's yellow, here's green. And you know, I have a lot of these little spools that I've picked up at thrift shops, thinking like, you know, it's good for slow stitching, it's good for quick beading, and so yeah, these are all perfect little spools that can go in here and I can use for my inspiration. And so I'm going to put the 2 blues in here, and then I'll work on the other colors after. But the other thing that I had added a couple more. Here's another blue one, and that's just a royal blue color. And now I've got this fiber piece. It is, somebody had crocheted it into something. I'm going to look at how I can take it apart eventually. But for now, I'm just going to stick it in here because I may just cut off pieces I want. And so this is going to go into what I'm calling kind of the fiber section. I'm going to put it in with the blue. But it's quite bulky, so maybe this is a good one to put down here on the bottom, because these are the colors, like I said, that I'm going to have extra stuff in. So I'm just going to stuff that in there. And then I have this as a regular fiber in blue. It's just a small piece, but it's enough to work with. And I'm going to add that in here. I see I have another spool of blue thread here. And another piece of blue fiber. And now I have some green here. Now this is green. What were these? I think they might have been bounce sheets. I'm not sure. Anyway, I had used them to mop up some inks, and so I figured these would be nice little pieces to use, you know, for a different texture. So there again, this is what I call base fabrics. So I might work with that on something as a base. Now because this is larger, I'm going to stick it in the bottom here with because green gets the 2 rows plus this extra part of green and blue. And then, I should bring this over here so you can see it better. I'm going to now start taking things out that aren't, and here's something in the green. This, I had a tea towel that had seen better days. So I cut it up for rags for my husband. And I thought, you know, I'm not giving him the trim. He's just going to ruin it. So I decided to tear the trim off. And I will stick it here in the green, and I might use a small section of it. It's quite pretty. And I can either leave that piece on or take it off. I can decide when I'm actually working with it. So I figured that could go in here. And that's quite large too, so I'm going to tuck that in the bottom. And move some of this stuff over. And see if I can find any more. Oh, here's another piece of, now this is just a scrappy piece of blue lace, so I'm going to stick that in here. And I have a blue tassel that's not 100% perfect, but I will use that one way or another, whether I use it as a tassel or whether I take it apart and use some of the threads and do some couching on my projects. It's now going into the blue section. Now this is kind of an accessory, so I'm going to stick it in with these threads because it's not something that I have tons of. And what else is in here? Oh, here's a piece of blue fabric. So I will stick this small piece in here. And this came off of something, I don't know what, but it was just one little circle with tulle and these little sparkly bits. So I'm going to stick that in here too. Now, is it blue? Is it green? I don't know. And I think that's all I have to go in here for now. So I'm going to zip these closed and we'll work on the next color because there's no green in here right now. Okay, so my next color, I think I'm going to probably work in the reds and the blacks. Reds, whites, and blacks will go in this next section here. I want to stay in frame here. So I know I had red, black, and white threads. And I see this gray. I think I'll include that with the reds, blacks, and whites. So let's just divvy it up here. I'll use the black and the gray. So this will allow me to add things like silver and then I'll put the little gold bits, I think, with the reds. Although gold is one of those colors that I hadn't really thought about, or silver. I hadn't added that into my stuff, but we'll see. We'll see how we can make it work. Okay, in the red, I have this set of tassels here, and they probably need a good ironing, but just to get them out of here, I'm going to put them in here with this kind of like accessories. And then I have this tassel here. And we said we're going to add white. Okay, that's cream, but I have some white buttons here. Now, it's not to say that I wouldn't pick white buttons and use them on something that I'm making in purple, but I'm just going to stick them in here for now to give them a home. And then, you know, everything can be interchanged depending on what you're working with. Now I have this white piece of lace here. You can see. So these are all going to be fun little projects to use. I think I have to rethink my gold and silver. I don't know how I'm going to fit it all in, but we'll try. Okay, here's the silver. I guess I'm going to need another one of these. I'm going to stick the silver with the black. Maybe the gold will go with the black too, because there's not as much black that I have, I don't think, and I will adjust for it and accommodate it as we go along. I have these gold rings. They were in a pile of stuff. I just think maybe I can add this into something. So we'll stick those in their kind of accessories. Now I have these silver and white buttons. I'll just put those in here too with the silver. It's kind of like gray. This is kind of a gray colored button. And what else have I got here? In the reds, I've got this. This was a piece of fabric. It was made into a little hat, like it looked like a little hat, and it had this black braid hanging from it. And Deb Ibrahim had given me some Asian wine bottle covers, and 2 of them came with this cap that I opened up, and I figured, okay, I can use that piece of fabric for something. And then I took the braid off of it. Excuse me, and this can be used on something. So I figured, okay, I've taken it apart, and I will add it into my red scraps. So what else have we got here? We've got, hope this is not too boring for you. I have these little red squares that I thought these might be fun to use for something. So I'm going to just fold those up a little bit so that I don't know, maybe they won't quite fit. So I'm going to fold them up to fit them in here. And I see another red tassel. It's kind of a burgundy red, but it's still red. And here's a white piece of grosgrain. I don't know what I will use that for, but it's going tucked in here. And it's orange. Is this white? Yeah. So here's a fun piece that I can cut off into little sections and use in here as well. And this is a piece of white lace that I can use. And again, it doesn't mean that I'm going to just use it on white. Now this is some scrappy bits, and I know a lot of you are saying, oh my gosh, Kim, I would throw that in the garbage as fast as I could. Ooh, found some blue. But you know what? I have made, and you will get to watch me, I have made some of the most fun things out of things that people would throw away. And for me, it's not that I don't have other stuff to work with. I do. I have no shortage of things to work with. But it's the satisfaction of reusing stuff that you would throw in the trash. So I'm going to tuck that in there because that's great for couching. So I'm just kind of going through this and putting it back in as I go along. This is kind of pinky. I don't know. It's kind of a mixed pinky color, but I see the pink the most in this. Maybe you see red. I could go as far as separating, but it's variegated. So I'm gonna call it pink, I think. I see some blue. This is just a little. Now some of these are things like this is taped, so I probably got it in a thrift package of some kind, maybe a little sewing thing. But it's navy blue. I'm just going to take this tape off of here. I hope you don't find this too boring while I sort through all this stuff. But to me, it's just going to be so rewarding to be able to play out of here. So this will go back in my blue bucket. Where is it? Down here. I'm going to tuck it in this navy blue one. Still haven't closed it, so I'll tuck it in there. And there was some, oh here, this was blue. So I will tuck that in there as well. And here's another piece of gold. So I will tuck this in here as well. Additional fibers that I can use. And going back to here, I've got this gold. I want to make sure I'm in frame here. Oh, I see I hadn't closed the, okay, I hadn't closed the zipper, so now things are flying out here. Close the zipper. And so here's this black trim. And I've got some gold trim. And a little bit more white lace. And it's pinky, pink. I'm not sure what color to call that yet. Ivory, brown. Now this is white on, yeah, it's white on with silver dots in it, so I will stick it in here. That's pink. There's more white lace. Another piece of red trim. I'll stick that in here just to give it a little bit more color there. Brown, more gold. Now this is black felt. It was it came off the back of something. It was used like interfacing. So I just when I was taking it apart, this came off quite easily. So I figured this is a good base to create on. So I'm just going to fold that up into a tight little bundle here if I can. Squish it down and stick it in here. So there's a base fabric that I can work with. And that's kind of in the brown tones. Here's a black little tassel. I'm going to stick that in there. And that's kind of orange, beige. Another, this is the other tea towel that I took apart. It had this on both sides. That'll go in my orange bucket when I work on that one. And another piece of purple, some threads. Now some of this is just too small that I'm not going to keep. Another piece of blue, which I will go back and put it into the blue that you can't see. And then this is a little piece of green. Now I see it's got the original tags on here. I'm going to stick that in this bucket in the green for now, because I don't have anything in my green one, so I'm going to stick that in there, knowing that I want to keep those tags. And that reminds me that one of the other things I wanted to add to this was a stitch ripper, because sometimes I have pieces of edging and seams that I haven't taken apart. I just throw it into this pile, and so I will use those a seam ripper to take them apart as I need to for my projects. Okay, I think that's all I have right now in these colors. I'm going to add the gold back in here and zip this one up. So it may be a good idea, and I will test it out as I go along. Because this is one long zipper, I may put the accessories on this side so that I don't have to open it up all the way and have things fall out. But that'll be something that I test as we go along. So I've used the black and I've used the white. I've got two spots at the top here, and this is going to be my yellow and orange. No, this is going to be my creams and beige. Oh no, I should do that on the other side, right? All right, I might have to rearrange this after. I'm going to put cream and beige up here, and so it'll be cream, beige, and neutral. And then on the other side, I'll have to put yellow and brown on the other side. So cream and beige. So we'll, oh, here's one of those buttons that fell out. So you see what I mean. It'll be important to keep these zippers closed. So here's kind of a, let's open this section. And this one. Okay, I'm going to put this up here because maybe I won't need as much, and I will be able to separate and add gold and silver in here in one row. I'm going to close this one up too because I think I'm done here. And let's do the same thing. Take it all out. All right, cream and beige. That's kind of these colors. I see I have more buttons here in white. And that's more cream and beige. And add this back up in here. And that's kind of that creamy color. This is more in the brown tones. There's another piece of black. I know you can't see everything probably as I find it, but okay, I think that's pretty much all colors that I've got to work on yet. Okay, orange, pinks. I'm calling this pink. That's purple. I've got the purple, but it's on the other side. More orange, which we're not there yet. Here's a little bit more cream. And cream and cream. Now some of this trim I would use as trim, some of it I would take apart to use for couching. Now here's kind of a cream colored fabric, and I do have another piece of that fabric here, so that's kind of what I call, again, base fabrics. So I will tuck that in here. And there's more cream, there's brown, pink, copper, more cream color, and more. So you can see that I could probably use more in here. And I don't have a thread yet that can go in here in this color, so I will add that. I do have my scrap bags that I can go through. This is just what I've gathered in this past week, so I was getting kind of anxious to put this together. So I do have lots of room here to add more in those colors. So now this is what it's looking like so far on the one side. I hope you can see all of that separated. So my blues, and I'm going to close this up now because I think we're done in here. Are done. And I'm going to flip it over. And so I'm going to do 2 rows of pink, and then my orange, yellow, brown up here in 2 rows. And that's probably plenty for these colors. So this is kind of a pinky, almost like a, it's like a almost red color, but I'm calling it pink. So I'm folding this up. This is very, it's very, very thin cotton. It's almost like a gauze or cheesecloth type of feel to it and weight. Great for doing bases on stuff. So I'm going to just fold that up and roll that into here. And because the purples and, you know, there's the mauves and pinky mauves, like there's lots of crossover that I can use back and forth with the pinks and purples. I have a little piece of pink fabric here. Here's my pink thread. Now here's a nice long piece of pink lace that I can cut up into bits as I need it. I'm going to put that again on the accessory side here. And some pink lace. Let's see some fibers here I don't want. And some more pink lace. And then this is kind of one of those, it's used for crocheting and knitting, but it's kind of not really pink, not really purple, but that's why it would work nicely in these, having these 2 colors close to each other. And here's a piece of pink cord. And again, I know you look at this and go, oh my gosh, I would throw that out. But I look at it this way: if I roll this up and stitch it, I can make myself a really pretty little rose to put on a snippet that will be absolutely gorgeous. So that's going in here to use for that purpose. And here's another piece of that hot pink color. These 2 colors I think came together. They were a dress, and I see another piece here, so we'll tuck that in there. Some pink fibers, and I have this little pink applique. That's kind of a finishing piece to me, so it's more like an accessory, and I'll tuck that in there. And I see a roll of very, very pale pink thread, and I will probably add some hot pink thread because I can see myself working with those as well. So that color would definitely, I could use the darker pink. And so here's some more of that. Here's that pink where I see how this is already starting to be a little bit of an inspiration, because you see this together and you go, oh, okay, I could make something with that. So I will just tuck that into my fibers I have going over here. And I did see, now these don't have to stay in here. They were cut off of something, and I just left the pink fabrics on here. So they don't have to stay in here because they're gold, but I'm going to put them in with the pink because I'll put them in with the accessories as well, because they, you know, I may want to use that little tiny pink piece. I don't know. And that's more the oranges. And here's another piece of that purple. And there was a piece of purple velvet here and some purple thread. So this can all go, and just playing around, I can see adding the two of these and then a base and then maybe a big button or some sequins and stuff. So I'm going to tuck those into the purple one. Now, if it's too boring for you, you can always fast forward. But, you know, sometimes when I'm doing this and I show you different scraps and how I'm going to use them, that helps too. So again, another piece of that pink cord and this really scruffy looking pink ribbon. But sometimes these things turn out so beautiful for whatever reason I want to use them. I'm just going to tuck those in. And we're almost finished, except that I'm going to add these 3 pink buttons into my accessories. I'll just put them down in here. So I will continue to add off camera, and then when I'm actually going to start working with one of these little pockets, you will get to see it full before I start. And then I will take and work in one of the colors. And you know, if you guys want to see me work in a certain color, oh, here's more pink. Oh, more pink. I'll tell you, this stuff multiplies when you leave it alone. I'll just tuck it in here. And if you see how full the purple one is, it's because I went into my purple scraps and I went and got some stuff just to give myself an idea of how much can fit into these things and how much I would want to use to play with. And then I wanted some ideas of how I was going to play with them. Okay, so I think the brown I'll just dedicate down here, and then the oranges and yellows. So brown might include the rust. Oranges and yellows will be the more vibrant colors. So I'm going to put the brown thread in here. And then I've got the yellow and orange to go in here. You know what? I'm going to flip it around because I said I think it would make more sense to have them over here. And the other ones I can flip around once I start working in them. But I said it would make more sense to have them on this side. And then I've got the orange. I don't think, oh wait, what's this? Okay, here's another orange. And this is kind of a periwinkle purple. So I'll get that in there. And then this way, I don't have any more to go in these 2 pockets, so I can just zip it and just work in this section for now. So that's my thought process on. And that would make more sense, so that if you have small things like buttons or, you know, little baubles or charms that you add onto this, that's another thing. You could add some charms, the sequins, which I have a big bag, but I'll explain that in a second too. And so it just goes on, the stuff that you can add in. So this is the brown. Let's work with the brown first. This, to me, this was, actually, I think this was the other side of that black felt that I took apart. And I just love this fabric. And this is perfect to cut and make little snippets. I will fold it up, but I think I should probably iron it flat a little bit better first. But I will fold it up for now and just put it in so you can see it in action and how it's going to look. And I'm rolling this up really tight. This is going to be a base, and I will add things to it. And then I see this in the brown. This is just a piece of trim. And this is the same trim here. And this is a very ugly, I'm not kidding, it's ugly. It's a plastic vinyl ribbon that's woven through this trim. And I discovered that if I take my scissors and gently get it started, once it's started, I can take this out. And some things are just not worth keeping. And that's one of them. But I discovered, because I have a whole bolt of this trim, and I really didn't know how I was going to use it with this vinyl until I discovered that it can come out. So now this brown trim, I can add something like this orange fiber down the center and stitch that on to create a lovely fall trim that I can use. Now, going a little further, I can add some yellow, I can add some gold sequins and some gold gems maybe, and turn this into a really fun boho trim. And this was just a little piece that I had crocheted, and then I couldn't undo it. I had made the knot so tight that it wouldn't come undone. So I figured, you know what, this is perfect to couch onto something like that very, very easily. So you can see how quickly you can take something that's just a plain brown and dress it up with something else. Now I've got this trim here. This is from a pillow. So I can take my stitch ripper, I'm not going to do it on camera, but I can take my stitch ripper, and it'll take a couple of seconds, but I can find the thread. Actually, I've got it right here. I can find the threads. I'm just going to pick out the first couple here to get it undone. So it will fray a little bit on the edges until I get it started. Here we go. But once I get it going, I can take all this off and use this as another flat piece just like this, and I can couch on top of it, or sequins, beads, whatever. And then this cord can also be taken apart, or it can be used the way it is, or it can be taken apart to give me 3 separate individual cords. But this is something I have to take apart first. So that's why I would want to have a stitch ripper with me, so if I decide I do want to use this for that reason, then I would have all of this cord to work with individually, as well as having this trim. Because this is very hard to use in our journals because it's so lumpy. But if you take it apart, you get a lot of mileage of product in here. So that's going into the brown trims, and I'm going to put them now at this end, and same with these 2 brown pieces. Stick that in there. And this one I can't decide. Is it brown? Is it orange? Is it mauve? One of those colors, right? Same with this. It's kind of a corally color. So I'm going to roll this up and keep it with the orange. These were cuffs at the bottom of a pair of pants. I just cut them off because it wasn't worth trying to undo all the stitching to get them off. And I just thought, again, base for other projects, so I'm going to stick those in here. I've got 2 of them because I had 2 pant legs. They came automatically with 2. Tuck that in there. And I've got this orange fiber. I've got this piece of orange coral ribbon, a corally orange ribbon, but even that looks nice against this fiber here. So depending on what you're doing, if you make flowers, if you like to make slow stitch flowers, like, ooh, look at this. There's a nice piece of copper with beige background, but it's kind of rusty. Tuck that in there. You can pre-cut all your yo-yos and stick them in here, because I have a pile for yo-yos that I get ready ahead of time. So you could fill these with little pieces of fabric for making flowers, or pieces of ribbon for making flowers if you do gathered ribbon flowers. And you'd be surprised at how quick you can put these together and turn stuff like this into some fun projects. Tuck that into the fibers. Here's a tassel. It's seen better days, but I can always iron it after I've finished playing with it. And I may take it apart to use the threads. It depends on what I come up with the day that I'm working on and what inspires me. Tuck that in there. Here's another one of those caps off of that Asian bottle cover. It was, I guess, to go over the top of a bottle to make it look like a little hat. But I can, again, use this for a base for slow stitching on top of. And I'm kind of calling it yellow because there's yellow and orange background. There's a little bit of pink and a little bit of teal blue. So it wouldn't take much to add some of those colors into here, whether I add some beads and sequins and maybe a little flower that I have, or anything, any little bits and pieces that come into my path when I start going through all my other scraps to add into this even further. So there's that. Another piece of that gold, I'll get to that after. And then I have these two orange pieces. Now I can use them like they are. Oh, I see I have more. Don't ask me why I kept that, it's just shiny. So cute. I just thought, well, maybe I can stitch it in somewhere. Tuck that in there. And I know some of you are going, oh my gosh, she keeps everything. I do. But I get such satisfaction of turning this into something and watching you say, okay, that's what I can do with that little piece of scrap. This piece of ribbon could be made into flowers. 3 inches gathered on the edge, very close to the edge, gathered and then tied in a knot will make a pretty little little flower. I don't have any to show you, but it will make a pretty little flower. Maybe by the time I show you this in progress where we're actually going to work with it, I can turn a couple of these into flowers so you can see how they look. 3 inches in any ribbon that's 1/2 inch wide. So your seam binding, your picot edge ribbon, anything that's 1/2 inch wide. In fact, this picot edge ribbon here will make beautiful flowers, and it's all you need is 3 inches. So keep your scraps for those reasons, because you can make some gorgeous flowers, and we're going to make that for these projects. I can tell you right now, it's going to be fun. So I've got that pretty full. So you can see I still have room to grow in the browns. I haven't added very much. I'm just going to roll these up now so that I can squeeze these in. I might have to put one in here and one in the other one. Yeah, I think we're getting pretty full there. And there's not much yellow in here yet, but I have lots of stuff. So I will continue to fill this off camera. And I will tuck this one in here. I want my yellow tassel to show, to remind myself that this is the yellow section. I could have put it in with the accessories. Okay, so that is what it looks like right now. I still have room for more tools, which I'll get to in a minute, but there is my oranges and browns, my pinks with the purples. Yeah, I like this. And then I'm going to flip it over again. Ooh, I didn't close this one. Got to close it. That's the thing I'm going to have to get used to remembering. I'm going to flip it over. And I still have to fill in more of the beiges. You can't really see the black that's here, but it's here. This one's full, but I still have room to add more. And I've kind of got the gold and silver in here. But if I find that I'm not going to use much of this, I might take the gold and silver and put it here. And then the greens and blues need more work. This is open. And so they need a little bit more work to fill them in. I have a blue tassel here. Or did that fall out? Yeah, I think it fell out, didn't it? I'm going to tuck that in and close the zipper. So I have more to fill in yet before I can say that this is ready to go on a trip with me if I want to take it to a retreat or for the day. Jen and Deb get together on Sundays in the park while the weather is nice, so I think I may join them. And this is what I'm going to bring. I'm going to just bring this because I'm going to put everything I need in here. I've got my thread, I've got my scissors. Now here's my 2 pockets for tools. So I'm going to have my scissors. I have a glue stick in case I need to glue something. I have small tubes of my fabric glue or tacky glue that I'm going to use. I may put a small bottle of that in here as well. I've got this bag of mixed beads. So it's got all the colors. Like there's reds, pinks, purples, blues, greens, blacks. It's got everything. So I figured that's a good candidate to go in here, as it's kind of for use for everybody. And this way I don't have to worry about fitting beads in here to accommodate each color. I had this little bag of beads because I thought that's never going to be enough. Who am I kidding? But it's just an odd mix, and I thought, you know what, this is a great way to use it up. So I'm going to stick that in there as well. And then I have this bag of mixed sequins. I don't think I need all of this, so I will probably give myself half, which is plenty. I can always refill it. And it has all the colors I want: pink, blue, purple, gold, silver. So I will put half. I'm not going to try and fit it in right now, but you get the idea. And same with this. This is probably excessive with the beads, but once I get started using them, it may not be. So I have that. Then I have some beading thread, because sometimes, you need a finer thread depending on what you're doing. I'm going to add that in there. And I have a couple of extra needles that I'm going to add in, and a package of beading needles in case I want to do beading and sequins on top. And so that is pretty much ready to go. The only thing I will add, this is my stitch ripper I use all the time here, so I will put this back in my regular stash. But I do have a stitch ripper. I've added it to the list of things I want to bring with me. So thread, needles, beads, buttons. I may go back now, because I only had the white buttons. I may go back and add a couple of purple ones and a couple of blue ones, that type of thing. Cords and fibers that I may want to add additionally. So I've got lace and fiber on here, cords, common bases. That's bigger pieces that I can work on, whether I'm making a single cluster or maybe a long strip to create a snippet roll. I can work in a snippet roll that's 12 inches, and if that's my goal for the day, and to finish a 12-inch snippet roll, that's perfect for me, because that automatically makes a couple of pockets or a belly band or tuck spots or individual little clusters that you can cut up. So, and then the stitch ripper I've added, and so those are the things that I'm going to try working with, so that I can say that's all I need to take is this. That's it. That's all I have to take with me to go anywhere. Well, maybe in a lunch. I don't have to pack a million things. And so I could take something like this camping for the weekend. And I know that one set of pockets, this set of purple pockets, that's a day's work, or at least a half a day's work to make up whatever is in here. So I'm going to continue to fill this off camera, and I'm going to work on the overflow when I get to that point. I'm going to work on overflow and put stuff in here. And when I say overflow, I was just thinking, like when I was looking at the orange, I don't need to have 2 sets of this trim, this crochet trim that I took off of here with me, because that's bulky, and it takes a lot of space. And then you get caught up on using that and you don't use other things. So I'm going to take this one out. It's automatically going to go into one of these pockets to be ready to refill when I need more, because I don't need that right now. But putting it in here gets it out of the way. It's going to have a purpose and a life and a home. So right now, this is a great place to put it. I see there's a couple of these that are loose. I'm going to have to stitch them down. Okay. So when you're out at the thrift shops, keep your eye out for this, because I think it's amazing, not only for doing slow stitching, if you want to take slow stitching projects with you. I could see that doing the very same thing with those, with pieces of paper, book pages, papers, index cards, small tags, some labels, some fussy cuts, all this stuff ready, and then at the bottom having your glue stick. Oh, close the zipper, Kim. Close the zipper. We're going to have to work on that. I didn't close that. There we go. So I can see having all your different types of stuff to inspire you to play with. So you could, again, color coordinate it by section. So maybe you put a tag down in this one, a plain manila tag. And the first thing that you come along is you have a piece of scrap floral print paper that has pinks and greens in it, and you tuck it in front of the tag. Now you're going somewhere. So now you can add a piece of pink lace and a green button and a pink butterfly or a white butterfly. And now you've got stuff ready to make a tag. And you can do that in every single one of these and have the inspiration in itself putting it together and get those scrappy little bits off your desk with a purpose. You know that that's going to be a tag because you put a tag base in it. So there's your base. So it's your base, your focal bits, and then your accessories and little extras. You know, extras being a button, a label, you know, those type of things. So you could easily do this very same thing with your paper scraps to make for journal, for clusters, tags, snippets, all out of paper. Fun stuff. I'm going to have to buy many of these. So first of all, I want to say thank you, Val, for this beautiful gift you've given me. I'm already inspired. I can't wait to make something out of here, but I'm going to fill it first, get it nice and full, ready to go. And then I'm going to do a video where we take one color and we work with it. So you guys tell me which color. Maybe you can tell me in the description below which color you think I should start with and what you want to see me make with it, or you know, give me some ideas of what you want to see made. And by then I will, of course, filled in most of the colors, so it'll be too late to choose then. But, you know, you can tell me which one I'm going to work on, and I will work on it with you online. So bring your slow stitching. When you see part 2, bring your slow stitching and your little bits with you, because maybe you can create with me. But keep your eye out. Val, thank you so much for this. I absolutely love it. I'm betting and I'm hoping that you're a little bit sorry, but I'm going to love it to pieces. And go out there, look in the wild. You can find these. I just passed on the ones that I have seen only because I didn't have a purpose until I got this one from Val. And now even this one, though it's not perfect to go on the road, it is certainly perfect to, once I stitch that edge there, it is certainly perfect to use in my studio, hung up on the wall for the same purpose. I can still work out of it if I want to, but in my case it's going to be for overflow, so I have a place to keep all those little bits of scraps. So you need at least 2 of these. At least 2. No, you need 3, because you need one for your paper, one for your fabric bits, and then one for overflow. Maybe 2 for overflow. Okay, we need a whole bunch. Anyway, go out and keep your eye out for them. They are out there. Look in the areas where they have linens. Look where they have, you know, curtains and things like pot holders and tea towels. It's always in the housewares area. But also keep an eye out in the jewelry and makeup area, because you may find something similar that's for makeup and jewelry that you can use. And I'm sure that's what these are for as well. So keep your eyes peeled, because now that you're looking for them, you will find them. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all a very creative day and a creative week, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon. And I look forward to sharing the next adventure of this inspiring pockets. Okay, bye for now.